In life, we will inevitably come face to face with a situation. A situation where we can't believe our own eyes. I am Retro Midman, and when I'm not scouring the earth in search of a new subscriber, I scour for stories of the unknown. Stories that only few will believe. Stories that have only been entrusted with me. You are more than welcome to tag along for this episode of Unaccountable.
Ghost stories. I turned over in my bed. Sleep, insofar as tonight was concerned, had been fairly fitful, and I had already woken up 4, maybe 7 times before this. This time, though, as I squinted toward my bedroom's eastern wall, something was notably different. Thought I turned that off. Actually, I was positive that I had turned off my computer monitors. If I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have been able to fall asleep in the first place. Still, computers were often silly things, and this was hardly the first time I'd been awakened by a beep, bloop, or light flashing, even though I'd sworn it had been silenced, powered off, or completely unplugged. Groggily, I closed my eyes and fumbled around my bed for a t-shirt to wear as I figured this out. Probably the cat climbing around again. I made it as far as 3 steps into the hall before I remembered that the cat, an annoying little orange gremlin I didn't care much for, had belonged to my last roommate and was almost certainly not the cause of tonight's malfunction. Satisfied, and still a little bit asleep, I made my way back to my futon, making only the small detour to my desk to press the power button on each of the glowing rectangles. Nothing should be awake at this hour. That extends to my computers as well. Settling back into bed, I closed my eyes and listened to the low hum that could be heard through most of my room. My computer wasn't exactly state-of-the-art, and as a result, wasn't the quietest roommate. But I long stopped turning it off at nights. It wasn't really worth the extra boot time, and more than once I'd been late to work because it decided it needed an update that I really would rather have put off until later. I was almost asleep again when the droning hum mingled with the sound of candy wrappers. Sitting up and looking around the room, everything was normal, except for a faint purple glow. Glows, actually, as there seemed to be 2 of them in one of the far corners. If not for the unusual color and location, I probably would have thought my computer was haunted. The rustling noise stopped, and the purple glow faded back into the expected darkness. Did I have an intruder? Staring at that spot, now nothing but an inky blotch behind the barely cracked door. I couldn't see anything. Certainly nothing large enough to give me concern. Must be the lack of sleep. No sooner did my eyes close one more time than I received the shock of my life. Good morning. I jumped backwards, which is extremely difficult to do from a laying position, kicking my legs wildly and whacking my head on the wall behind me. Who was it? A demure laugh I could only describe as mischievous was the only reply to my frantic exclamation. Sorry. I guess it's still ghoul night. Standing in front of me, actually, maybe floating in front of me, it was pretty hard to tell in the dark, was a young, girl. Cute, to be sure, though that's probably the last thing you should be thinking about during a home invasion. Rendered speechless through a combination of shock, disbelief, and instinct, there was little I could do but stare at the strange visitor. Visitors? I'm not sure, but I could swear that one of the floating purple lights hovering over her shoulders winked at me. I am Momoki the Magnificent. You probably heard of me. Who? Momoki. Maybe you've heard it with the zero. Oh, no. Sorry. No? Wow. Wow. Rude. I said sorry, though I'm not sure why. She, after all, was the one in my house, and not the other way around, no matter how famous she is. Plastic Love Girl? That's kinda familiar. The girl threw up her hands in evident frustration and turned away from me. As she moved about the room, I was proven correct on more than one account. She was floating around in lieu of walking, and one of the purple lights definitely winked at me. The other, for the record, seemed somehow angry about the entire situation. Though don't ask me how I could tell. So how do you, I'm a ghost. Oh, right, of course. Really, that made as much sense as any other explanation. And you're here because snacks are better. She flung the contents of my computer away one by one, starting with the mouse, then my notebook, then nearly everything else, until she held up a small blue package triumphantly. Better than where? In there, duh. I'm a VTuber. She flicked one of my monitors dismissively, as though that explained anything at all. Lady of the Lake, bless this food. Is that you? The Lady of the Lake? Eh? No, don't be weird. She just blesses the food. I eat it. Oh, right. The ghost pulled out one of the small round cookies I had been saving for my break tomorrow and bit into it, then chewed and chewed and chewed. Blech. Not pleasant at all. Not enough blessing. Oh. I flinched slightly as she flew towards me, almost literally, and jammed her hand into a glass of water I brought to bed with me. Pulling it out and flicking the dripping moisture against my wall, she shoved the remains of the cookie into her mouth. Much better. Out of curiosity, she was distracted, dipping a second cookie into the glass. Though to her credit, she was much more gentler about it this time. I reached out and poked her side. I expected my hand to reach through her as if she really were a ghost, as she said. But I could feel her there just fine. I could definitely feel her when she slapped my hand away. I'm not that kind of ghost. Oh, sorry. Again, what kind of ghost? The kind that plays video games. Oh? Scary video games? Only when I have to, why? 'Cause you're a ghost. Mostly I wash stuff. Sometimes I sing. Scary songs? Nah. 80s stuff, mostly. Oh, is that when you died? She seemed to be somewhat offended by my assumption. Do I look like I'm that old? Sorry, I didn't know ghosts age. For an uninvited intruder, I sure was apologizing to her a lot. Obviously. Got anything else? A candy bar? Oh, gimme. I pointed back to my computer desk. She rushed back over and flinged my mousepad over her shoulder, knocking over the glass of water that she had left perched on the edge of the nightstand. In the drawer, the middle drawer of my desk found itself yanked, cleaned out, its contents dumped where my mouse had been up until a few minutes ago. No, the top. Ah, yum. The ghost tore open the candy bar and broke off a piece, holding it sideways like a corn cob. You're supposed to eat the chocolate first. Right, yeah. I sat in silence as Momoki dissected the confection with her teeth, then did the same, one at a time, to the other 3 pieces. Once she finished, she sucked the chocolate off her fingers. Who knew a ghost had body heat? And let out a long, satisfied, oh. Thank you for the snack. Make sure to vote on what game we're playing tomorrow. Okay, I will. It's on my Twitter. See you there. Sure. Bye. Good night. The poltergeist laughed some more, then faded away into a formless purple haze. The last thing to disappear were the shimmering purple lights that followed her around. I was definitely going to need to